What's going on, people? It's been a while, so I hope you guys enjoy my last interview with Ignacia Uribe from Como Ser Vegan Hoy. And since then, I'm been quite a busy these days. Um, we just fairly new launched our branch, our business, and we're so excited to kind of share with you guys. So I said, you know what? I think it would be a great idea if I can just create like a vlog series. I will probably do a couple episodes about this series. I don't know, maybe 5 episodes, in where I'm actually going to talk to you guys about how I actually put this business together. And I'm going to kind of go different step by step, everything that I did, how everything came along, kind of share with you guys some of the insight, some of the things that I don't really share much about the business or the business venture that I've been doing. But I think it would be a good opportunity for me to kind of just go ahead and share with you guys and give you guys a little bit of the insight what I've been doing and why I have been so busy lately and why you guys haven't seen me. As you can see by my background, that is our brand, that is our logo, that is our mascot per se. Okay, wait, this guy, wait, right here. Yes, yes. Now, yeah, you can see, yeah, the little guy there is our mascot. Is we call it Coquito, which is a short for coconut or like little coconut, basically in Spanish. And This is our brand. And I wanted to share with you guys some of the everything. So I think in this episode one of this vlog series, I want to share you guys a behind the scene, like the behind the scene things about the business. So and how I started it, so, what got me into the business and some of the challenges that I faced, a little bit of the highlights, and then a little bit of the behind the scene work that's been done. So I think that will be a great way to segue this vlog, episode one of this series, right? So yeah, so let's stay tuned. Don't worry, we'll try to make it short and easy and really friendly. And I'm always open. You guys know to ask me any question regarding to it. So let's go. Let's get it started.
Latina, latinoyvegano.com.
All right. So I wanted to name this episode "Behind the Scoop," which is kind of like give me a little introduction of you guys of what I've been doing. So for about I want to say maybe about 2 years now, I've been really focusing because I wanted to branch out. Some of you guys know that I invest in real estate, right? So I have a couple of real estate property when it comes down to some of my financial ventures, but I had done businesses in the past and I have a couple of businesses I done from like drop shipping, e-commerce businesses to retail businesses as well. And I have a background in business administration, and also I do freelance and independently, and I'm a contractor for different in the IT world and different things. So I have different ways of what it comes when it comes to income. But in the last couple of years, I mean, kind of thinking about like I wanted to open a business where it was more impactful, something that I can combine two things that I kind of like doing, which is I was big into like e-commerce and into the um into the esport world as well. So like gaming, video games. So I was big into that back in the days, and I really enjoy that aspect of it. Actually, one of the things that got me into tech was video game basically. So I wanted to find a way to kind of still combine that passion that as a kid. And one of my projects was to open gaming center. Now these days they call it esports center, which is mostly focused on computer gaming and some consoles, right? And but also in back in my days they used to call it LAN centers or internet cafe. It was another word they use for the same concept. So I had this big old plan of like opening one of these places for quite some time now, and I did every due diligence regarding to that field, and I was really ready. Got a call provider, supplier. I was finding for a location, and I was doing all these different things, focusing on that particular business venture, right? And everything is going fine. I even had the opportunity to go overseas and go outside the U.S. As you guys know, I'm in Houston. Go outside the U.S. to kind of explore this possibility as well, and I had that big in my mind. So that's kind of like how this whole concept of like started it, because I had this passion for gaming and I had this passion for vegan. Like, how do I combine those two? So how do I be able to merge those two? That's kind of how all these things started it. So then, then I started looking for locations, and at this point, I put a business plan together, and I was all really looking into opening a video game center. And then I was told through some mentorship that just having a plain video game center probably was not a best business venture. It was most likely better if you combine something else that can help with the revenue. And actually, I thought that was not necessarily a bad idea. Since I'm vegan and I'm passionate about it, it's like, well, how can I combine those two? Like, how can I combine vegan and combine gaming center? And the best way you can do that is by having offering food. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna open a video game or a gaming center that offers vegan food or vegan comfort food for that matter. And now I was like, man, that's a win-win because I can be able to combine those two of my passions, right? So yeah, so that I started brainstorming that idea and kept having that idea in my mind for quite some time now. And that's how like I was really getting inspired. So having this idea in my mind, and I started to research about it every day. I was looking for information. Okay, what do I need? Not I was not even thinking about the financial aspect, because I want to tell you one thing, guys. When you have a concept, or when you have an idea, or you want to have a goal, you start with an idea, right? Start with a concept, and that doesn't really require any financial. So I was told by my mentor that whenever you have an idea, the first thing you got to do is you got to write that idea down, and then do well on that idea. Then you keep refining that idea. And the way I keep saying is, or the way I was told about this is like you have to think about it like when you put an address on the GPS or in your Google Map or Waze or whatever application you use to get to one place to another. When you put in the address, um, the applications functionality of the application's goal is to take you from point A to point B. However, in that journey, things can happen, and during that journey, things can happen. The application has to recalibrate or recalculate or find another way to get you to your destination, right? So you have to look at things from that perspective, same way, right? You have to look at life and challenges and work and journey from that perspective, that you might face challenges, and then you have to recalibrate, recalculate, find a different way, but you still want to reach your destination. So while I having this idea, I was like, I want to open this place. I was facing different type of challenges, which I'm going to touch in those challenges later. But the main point here that I want to accomplish is with the introduction of the concept is I had this idea that combined these two things, right? Combine up two passions that I have: technology, gaming, um, combines all the it combines and vegan, and from this perspective will be vegan comfort food from that matter. So I had this mind, they had the concept in my mind going back and forth. How can I combine these two? How can I make this business as ethical as possible too, so it can comply with my vegan lifestyle? Like all the different things. So I have this different type of idea, and I started to write everything down and started to trying to write this concept down, and then form a business plan around that, right? But the first thing I needed to get is my concept right, because you can't even start something if you don't really have a concept right. At least the basic concept. Okay, so the basic concept for me was these two things, and for me, it just that's how it started. Right? It just started with an idea, with a concept, and I wanted to master that concept. Now, during that process of going through my mind like this different type of concept, now I narrow it down to, okay, I'm gonna open vegan gaming center. So it's gaming center, which is gonna have vegan food, and I'm gonna offer video game and all kind of games so people can play. So I source out all the games, I source out the location, I find out about how much I needed it to make from each game to be able to afford the location. I completely got down the numbers and completely got down to, okay, what kind of food I wanted to offer. Do I want to outsource the food? Do I want to make my own food? And all these different things. So I completely went through all the different tangibles of the business. And when it came down to like, okay, I'm ready. This is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna open a restaurant. Then a situation happened where I had to leave the location where I was planning to do this, which was Panama for that sense. And I had to start thinking about doing this business somewhere else. So initially, I was thinking about opening this business in Panama. I had a location near Boardwalk, perfect location for me in the sense of like have a nice view to the beach right across the street, heavily traffic on weekends, a lot of tourists. So it was like a great location. Rent was a bit high, but I felt like with the kind of business and then everything that was around it, I was gonna be able to manage. But has this great location already? Got in contact with the landlord. We set up a contract that I was going to be able to get that contract going once I started building the location. I got everything set up. I wrote my business plan. This was going to be my special idea, right? It's going to have the first ever vegan gaming center with comfort food, vegan, and games to play while in the boardwalk. So he was gonna be the first ever gaming center in Panama ever. So like there was no concept like that in that location. Like nobody had that concept before and nothing close to that. There was a couple of gaming centers around, yes, but there was no vegan gaming center. There was no place that had um, the food plus had also the games with the amount of games and the amount of things that I wanted to include. It was gonna have virtual reality. It was gonna have a little bit of the arcade games and a little bit of console games. So you get gonna be a variety of gamings. Plus, at the same time, you're also gonna be able to get some really fine, delicious vegan food from like pizza, burger, fry, all the different comfort food, which people were not accustomed to. So I was ready with that concept. I was excited. This is it. This is where I'm gonna go with. And then suddenly, I had a situation that I needed to return back to America, return back to the U.S. And then it was gonna be a little bit difficult for me to be flying out and out so I can manage the business. So that it would require for me to actually relocate to Panama permanently, which at that moment it was a possibility, but I was not contemplating that as an option. So I was like, well, you know what? I'm gonna have to come back. I'm coming back, and then when I get back, I'm gonna have to recalibrate that business concept to see what other things can we do. So that was one of the things that I decided to do, right? So I had that basic idea, and I got all everything lined up, and then from there I was like, all right, well, this is what I'm gonna do. So when I came back, I was like, all right, well, here initially, ideally, people don't open that kind of concept. So that kind of concept doesn't really you don't really see much of it, right? Which it could be a good thing or a bad thing. It could be a good thing because that means that there's an opportunity for you to open something that people don't do. There's not a lot. There's not a lot of competition. But on the other hand, it could be a bad thing because maybe it doesn't. People don't open those type of business because it's not really a successful business venture. So for me, it was one of those situations, right? So I came back and I was studying the market, market study to see how successful kind of business like this could be, right? And then I was like, if there's a need for this in the market, no, there's not necessarily a need. People don't need a gaming center. People want to go to a gaming center, but they don't need it. It's just something for entertain themselves, to distract themselves, so they can spend some time while they're with the kids and whatnot. So it's that kind of thing. It's not something. It's not a need. It's not a business where you say like, oh, I need to go to the doctor or I need to go to the grocery store every week to buy groceries. That's a need, right? You need to get food because it's not, you need to put gas in your vehicle. Those are businesses that you actually turns into need. But I was mostly doing a business that is a want. Like I want to go here. So once I came back, I needed to switch my business concept. Like, what am I gonna do now this time? If I really gonna focus on the same concept, or I'm gonna focus on a different type of concept, or what is the new concept will look like? So that's one of the challenges that I was facing. Coming back, now I have new challenges, not a new to think about a new business. If it's a new business, how I'm gonna manage this new business, and what is it that I'm gonna do? So I started researching. I started looking around, seeing what is it that I want to do next. Like, what's my next venture looks like? I want to stay with the same concept. I didn't want it to deviate too far from the original concept because again, I was just passionate about this concept. Second, I felt like if I felt like this concept was still a pretty good concept, and I already have a lot of the leeway as far as research done and everything pretty much done. I didn't want it to go too far, so I was gonna start completely from zero or from scratch. It was just mostly like retweak some things on my business plan so I can continue from there. So that's kind of like how I started thinking about. So then I was like, all right, you know what? I still gonna continue thinking about this, but I'm gonna look for different ways that I can manage that. Okay. So one of the first thing I wanted to do, I wanted to open a pizza business, right? So I started to make pizza at home. Like, I'm gonna make my own dough, make my own pizza. I started getting good. I started getting good. Started getting good at making dough, making pizza. I cracked the recipes. I was like, all right, well, it's coming good. It's coming good. It was a good product, and it was a good pizza. Um, I still think that the pizza came out well, and I could still promote it because in Houston there was not really a lot of businesses that were offering that. There's quite a few offering vegan pizza, but there's not a lot. There's maybe one or two places that have options, but not a lot of places that is like 100% vegan. So I saw an opportunity. I was like, this not might be a bad idea. And then the other hand, I was like, okay. Now remember, I still have the video game part of it that I don't want to lose track of it. So I started thinking about what can I do. And then one day, um, when I came back from Panama around January, and I started thinking about, okay, I'm gonna start prepping for a competition. As you guys know, I do bodybuilding, and I started prepping for my show. And I was like, okay, it's time for prep. So let me focus on prepping, and then I will work on the business, maybe an hour or two every day while I'm prepping. So I started prepping for my competition. And as you guys know, when I prep for a competition, one of the biggest thing is my diet, right? You have to be able to stay on track with your diet. So you stay on track with your diet is by you have to eat a certain way, you have to follow a certain line of macros. So you gotta be very very cautious of the way you eat because that's really what puts the difference in between winning and losing. So while I was prepping for my competition, I noticed like, man, you know that you can eat pretty much everything you want as long as you stay within this macros nutrient number, right? And I was like, how can I have a treat without going over my macros? So that's how I kind of like started. I'm like, you know what? And I saw I saw a couple of courses and I saw a couple of videos and I saw a couple of ideas of offering paletas or popsicle. And I was like, wait a minute, we have something here. So I started thinking about how can I make popsicles, which is gonna be a nice treat. I can make it as healthy or as stretchy as possible. Is it really a good amount? And then I still stay within my macros or within my numbers or calories per that particular day. So I started thinking that way. Okay, maybe we're into something. So while I was prepping for my show, I was thinking about this idea of making or creating a popsicle business. And then that popsicle business turned into a shop. So the same concept that I was going to build in Panama, which is going to be a gaming center with vegan food, now it turns to a gaming center with popsicle. Uh-huh. Okay. So I was like, all right, let me start testing this out. So I still continue prepping for my show, and at the same time I was actually trying to make trying to get my own recipe, how to make paletas, how to make popsicles, and how to make these different things. And yeah, and then the idea started growing from popsicle, turned into making ice cream because you can learn how to make ice cream and then popsicle from there, which is like a derivative, right? It's a lineage. It's like go hands in hand. So then that's how the whole business of creating ice cream came across. So I said, you know what? I'm gonna make vegan ice cream and I'm gonna offer games at the same time. So now the product itself is a great ice cream, great popsicles, and then the gaming is just an add-on to the business. And that's how Chill Coco, this company right here that you guys are seeing, just got funded, just got started. And that's how the idea started. So I told you guys all this just to kind of share with you guys how from a basic concept or from just an idea, it turned out into something bigger than that, right? So now we created this brand called Shield Coco, and then it's not just gonna be an ice cream brand and frozen dessert brand. It's gonna be more than that. It's gonna be a lifestyle too, right? Because we're gonna be offering a line of clothing that goes along with that, and you're gonna be able to play games. So we're gonna promote and support esport because we still love that, and then at the same time you get to eat delicious, vegan, dairy-free, homemade, premium ice cream. Like you cannot go better than that. Ice cream and games, you really can't go wrong with that. So yeah, man, that's exactly how this whole concept came along. Now we have this beautiful food truck that has delicious premium vegan ice cream, and we also have a TV there that you can play games, and so you can play your video games. That we will have that available as well too. So we have those combination things there available for all the different people in the Houston area.
Gracias por escuchar Latino y Vegano, un show donde se habla todo lo relacionado sobre el veganismo entre la comunidad latina. No olviden suscribirse a este podcast, seguirnos en Instagram, Facebook, YouTube y a visitarnos en latinoyvegano.com.